Okay, so welcome to What to Say and How to Say It. So this webinar is about navigating your business through the current market. So I put together some of the most common objections that we're hearing, and I would love for y'all that are on, I would love to hear, in the comments, if there's, once we get through this, if there's any questions you're hearing that I can address that are not covered, that would be great. We've got to really work together. Just a little bit about me. For those of you that don't know me, I'm just about to pass 4,500 families helped since 1995. I'm super excited about that. I just love helping borrowers. I don't want to go into management. I just want to keep helping people. That's all I want to do. I'm 99% referral. I say 99. I used to be 100, but now I'm starting to get referrals from, the YouTube videos I post and stuff like that. So that's been fun as well. Be sure you check out my mortgage education channel if you haven't already on YouTube, Loan with Jen. And I also have had the privilege of coaching over 230 top loan officers in the US over the last many years. 10 years I did that. So I do have a new QR code, even though y'all probably have my info in your phone. Just if you'll scan this, because it's got my new links to all my social media and all that good stuff. So super fun. I use Popple, that's the digital business card. So if you'll just scan that there, that would be fantastic. Then YouTube channel, my YouTube channel, again, here, Loan with Jen, check it out. Lots of videos. Okay, this is the world view of what's going on. Like, hey, housing crash, there's going to be foreclosures everywhere, soaring rates, the news is like sensationalizing everything, which I get it. Drama sells, okay? Let's just, we all know that. But what's really going on is actually a different phenomenon, which is opportunity. And so that's what I wanted to help you communicate to when you're hearing these things from buyers. Remember, they're hearing their BBC radio driving into the office, or they're, who knows what they're watching on the news. And that's what they're filtering in, is the sensationalism of just worst case scenario of everything. So I wanted to really just put a different spin on everything, and really just some real facts for y'all that you can really take back to your community. So this is what I'm seeing. And I say we too, as far as the collective real estate community. I think that there's major opportunity in this market. There are people that are sitting out, yes, in the market. They just cannot afford the homes. So there are people that have to wait until rates start to come down, or some prices possibly. But for others, while those people are sitting out, other people we're starting to see, concessions, seller paid closing costs, in some cases lower price. But I'm going to show y'all a way to get instead of lowering the price, which is going to, of course, hurt the values eventually. Let's give seller credits instead to help the buyer's payment. So that's part of what I'm going to show y'all here in a little bit. We do see a little bit less competition depending on what pocket you're in. If you're buying in Westview back to back, it's cutthroat. Okay. Katy, I live in Katy. It's crazy, a little bit crazy still. Not as much though. So it depends where you're looking. Okay. What market you're in, etc. But we are seeing less of that and more normalized market. We're seeing, we're seeing contingent offers again, where people might need to sell a house, a more normal offering environment, which is good. It gives you time to breathe. It's not like, oh my God, we have to make the offer in 5 minutes. I wish I had $1 for every time I heard that, like, hey, they found a house by accident and the deadline to submit is in an hour. And like, it's like, you've got to be kidding me. Like, we'd never even pre-approved them yet. And it was, y'all know what I mean. It was just crazy last year. So these are some questions here. I'm going to start going into the questions that you're hearing from your database, from your past clients, from other realtors. How's the market? I hear that almost every day. You could say, it's okay, kind of slow. I'm catching up on things, getting my database together. Terrible. Rates are just messing everything up. Like, y'all, come on. That's the worst answer ever. The better answer, it's great. It's way better. Time to breathe. Actually, it's good for buyers. That's a pretty okay response. The best response, this is the best time to buy in the last 5 years. The market is filled with opportunities. It's more balanced for buyers than we've seen in a long time. Now that's intriguing. That is intriguing. Okay. I think that is a good answer. So if I was you, I would memorize something super similar. But keep people talking, keep the conversation going. Like, what do you mean? What are you talking about, opportunity? So another question or a phrase that we hear, I think I want to wait a while until the market cools down or rates come down. Did you know, according to Fannie Mae, their latest housing survey, more than 60% of renters said that they would buy a home if their lease ended. I just thought I'd throw that in there. I get calls every day, and what I hear over and over is, I'm so sick of renting. I'm sick of wasting money on rent. So this is our opportunity to show them how to do that through some creative programs. I'm going to go over at the end, kind of how to further recession-proof your business. Okay, not so good of an answer. Okay, sure, let's talk in a few months. I'll put you on my follow-up for June of next year. No. Don't say that. Okay, answer. What are you waiting for? Dig deep, keep asking questions, talk to your lender, find out what's best for you. I mean, that's an okay answer. It's good. But a better answer, I think, is houses are continuing to appreciate. Now is the time to act while others are sitting this market out. There are some opportunities to be had. Okay. I think that is a really good thing for y'all to know and to say. All right. Something else that I hear. I'm waiting for prices to drop. That's kind of the same as the other one, right? I hear that daily as well. Oh, I'm just going to wait. Just going to wait till things start dropping. They're not going to drop, people. That's really the short answer. But let's see what I have to say here. Okay, the worst answer, don't say this. Okay, let's just wait for them to bottom out. No. Not going to happen. That's fake news right there at its finest. The better answer, hey, they already have dropped and we can't time the bottom. It's not too bad, but there's a better answer, I believe. Prices are stabilizing and we still expect to see homes appreciate at a more normal pace, 3 to 5% for Houston. Prices, yeah, they're stabilizing. I mean, last year, y'all, the craziness of 20% it's not normal. It's just not normal. It was not meant to last. So things are stabilizing. They're not falling out of the sky. I mean, I haven't seen it yet. I've seen a little bit, like 3-4% maybe, but I haven't seen a huge drop in values. If any of y'all have, put it in the comments and I'd love to kind of know, but we got to stick together, but I haven't seen it. All right. I love how whoever designed, a friend of mine, another loan officer in Legacy, designed this PowerPoint. I'm kind of liking this all this transition. This is pretty cool. I'm not this fancy. I did not do this. It's cool. Rates are really, okay, I hear this all the time. Rates are really high right now. Yes, they are. They are. However, I got some good news here. Yeah, you're right. I wish they were like last year. Oh, yeah, let's just put you on hold for 6 months. No, 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 no. The better answer, rates are temporary, great prices are not. Or marry the house, not the rate, right? We've been hearing that one. That's a good one. Now, a little more intriguing answer. When rates do lower in 2 to 3 years, we will once again see extreme competition and higher prices. Y'all, the people that are on hold, they're going to come back in the market when rates come down. We're going to have this inventory issue all over again. Seriously. Buying now means you don't have to compete against anyone, and you can refinance at the lower rate in the next few years. And I'm going to give a side note. Not all lenders do this, but we at Legacy are giving a refinance certificate to all of our buyers the day of closing. I have 2 today. I'm going to send them both a certificate we give them 3 years to refi, and we waive all our lender fees, which that's like a $2,000 value. So there still are fees to refi, like title and a few other things, but I mean, it cuts the fees in half pretty much, which is nice. So it'll cost them a little bit of something, but we want to let people know, hey, we're in it with you. Rates they're going to go down when inflation comes down. But get in now and get your house appreciating. I mean, things are still continuing to appreciate. So here's a couple more tips for you to kind of start the conversation, like different, Mark, I know you do a lot in social media. Susanna, you do a lot in Facebook. I know, Errol, you're a lot more on Instagram. I think I see you, but wherever you are, whether it's a newsletter you're putting out or an email, you've got to drip on your clients in a lot of different ways. So however it is, to start the conversation, you got to have a hook, and you got to kind of like, have a little bit of a conversation starter to pivot the conversation to something that's going to be more productive. Let's just say productive. That's a good word. All this down a rabbit hole and negative. No. That's no bueno. So in the red here, I have, did you know that there is a huge secret out in the market that nobody knows about? That's a good social media post right there. And then you can kind of make it your own. If y'all have been seeing some of my latest Instagram videos, my reels, I've been doing more. I've been doing this mastermind class, okay? And they're like, Jennifer, you got to have a hook to keep people watching. Remember when I said before that drama sells? It does. What's going to keep people watching whatever you're putting out there or reading or continuing to watch you? It's like, ooh, huge secret. I want to know that. I'm just going to keep watching this reel and see what comes out, right? So if you want to know more about that, come to my content class on December 7th. I'll tell you all that about the end. But did you know that there's a huge secret out there in the market that nobody knows about? You could go lots of different ways with that, like the 2-1 buy down that I'm going to tell you all about in a little bit. Get some seller paid closing costs right now while all these other buyers are sitting out in the market. Get a good price, get a good fair price on the house, and get closing cost credit while you're at it. That's the huge secret right there, to buy down your interest rate so your payment's lower. Another kind of conversation starter. If you're watching the media, you probably are going to think I'm crazy, but this is the best time to buy in the last 5 years. Want to know why? So just give it a try. Just experiment with some of the data pieces that y'all are putting out there and do something like that, because the sales price today with where the rates are was more like 330. There's about a $30,000 difference, okay, in price between where rates are, what you can afford, et cetera, 30 to 40. So if you can get into a house for 300, even if the rates are higher, you're going to still be ahead. Like, this is the other thing I want to tell you guys. people were willing to pay permanent higher prices on houses, 10 and 20% over list last year if they could. But now they're skittish to pay more in interest rate. It's like, serious? Are y'all serious right now? Like a price of a house is permanent. You can't go backwards on that. But the rate is temporary. They're going to be able to refinance, So I kind of, look at it that way. So these are just some conversation starters that y'all can use to start conversations with some of the media, some of the stuff that y'all are putting out. Oh my goodness, I'm digging this thing. Okay, recession proof your business even further. And here's some things on how to gain trust with your referral partners, with your sphere, with your past clients. My team and I have really stepped up our calls and our handwritten notes. We actually implemented, I have not ever done this, y'all. I've been doing this for 27 years, okay? Just when I think I have all the tricks figured out, I have no clue why this never occurred to me before, but we are now writing handwritten notes quarterly to all of our on-hold clients that we have addresses for, if they ever made application, and all of our pre-approved buyers that are like within 3, we have pre-approved buyers that keep recycling that are like incubating and they're 3 months out. And then if they're more than 3 months out, we put them in this on-hold category. So bottom line, anyone who hasn't bought yet that we have an address for, we're writing a handwritten note. And we might say like Happy Thanksgiving or Happy Valentine's Day, like whatever time of year it is, we just want to let them know that we're thinking about them. It's not necessarily with specific info. I just want to keep in touch with them because, sometimes they don't open your email and sometimes they don't watch your video. And I thought, gosh, how can I keep reaching people? You know what? I'm going to send them a note. So I've really stepped that up and we've really stepped up our calling. We have a real consistent method and you can always ping me on the side. I'm happy to share that with you, but stepping up what you're currently doing, more calling, more follow-up, handwritten notes, you cannot go wrong with that. Make an effort to do more face-to-face, coffees, events, masterminds, put yourself out there where you normally might have hesitated before. Like, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and go to this networking event. I really don't want to, but go even if you don't want to, because you will meet people. You will meet people, especially Mark, like being in a new market. I'm sure you're going to be all over that, like you've got to get yourself out there.
I've already been to a couple of events and, one was like a open new builder doing a model home. And then the other was a condo building. So, you do that and go to, and of course, the old fashioned open house never hurts.
You cannot go wrong because putting yourself out there. And then when things do start to spark up, people are going to remember you. They are. And there's nothing like face-to-face. I mean, and settle for Zoom if you have to, but, and sometimes things merit a conversation, yes. But one thing on the conversation, so that's the next one here. Really make an effort to let them end the conversation. And I am guilty of this, y'all. Like, I talk to a lot of people in a day. It would probably, your head would spin if you realized how many people I talk to. But, and I'm proud of it, but then I'm not, because I'm quick to sometimes get off the conversation. Like, okay, gotta go on to the next thing. And I really don't want to do, like, I want people to feel like every time I talk to Jen, she just had nothing else to do. Like I was, when I'm talking to you, I want you to feel like you've got me a totally 100% present. So try not to rush conversations. I mean, don't lollygag for an hour on the phone, but you know what I mean? Like, make sure you're helping them 100%. Make sure they feel heard. Make sure they know that you're approachable, especially with these new clients, y'all. Homeowners are scared to death, especially the new ones, and they don't even know what they don't know. So linger on the phone with them for sure, and you will definitely build some great advocates for sure. Being more present and engaged, turning off distractions, turning off your cell phone, ringer so that it's not I'm going to tell you a quick story. I met a realtor one time that I went to her office she will remain nameless, but I went to her office to present to her agents. And it was about time management. And I was talking to them, and she interrupted me when I was presenting to them, which she has the right to do, of course. But she like totally discounted what I had just said, because I was teaching them how to be more efficient, how to schedule calls with people so you don't miss them, whatever. And she goes, no, 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 no. I teach my agents to answer the phone at all costs. They could be on their hospital bed. They could be in a closing with a client. They could be in a listing presentation, and they better answer that phone. And I was like, oh, wow. I was thinking to myself, I totally don't agree with that, because when I'm with you, I'm with you. I want to have good habits to where I'll answer that call immediately when I'm done. Does that make sense? But there's two sides to that story. I don't know what you agree with, but I do not think that it's professional for you to just answer at a moment's hat. Like when I'm with Susanna, I want to be with Susanna and talk to her and make her feel heard, not thinking about my phone and answering it. And, oh, sorry, I just need to answer this one text, So just some food for thought, but be more present and engaged with people. Your daily calendar planning, I do not like to have white space in my calendar. And if I do at the beginning of the day, I fill it. Okay, what extra calls do I need to make? What extra stuff do I need to get off my plate? I make sure that I have everything so that I'm going from thing to thing so I can be more efficient and make sure I'm helping everybody at a super, super high level. I also think a way and this is how to really build relationships and be memorable to people. That's my whole point of this slide. I think being vulnerable, I think just being honest with people and being approachable. I think, my former coach, I coached with this group for 12 years, and our leader would always say, because I presented in front of a lot of people, and before we went up on stage, he always told us, remember, share pain and be real. Because that's how people are going to connect with you. If everything's just unicorns and rainbows all the time, they're going to be like, oh gosh, she's just too perfect. So, too cool for school, right? But be vulnerable with people, just be transparent and honest and approachable. And the other thing, the last thing that I'm really concentrating on myself right now is focus on them, be more interested in them than they are in you. You can never go wrong with focusing on them and what more can you do? What more can I do to help this person? What more, and this is in the class that I taught yesterday. Errol, you came to that class a few months ago, and then your cousin came yesterday about building your network of more business people. And it's that 101, more interested in them. How can I help you? What can I do to further your business? What's a good kind of referral for you? That's how you're going to build, Mark, as you're developing these new relationships, being more interested in them than they are in you. I mean, eventually they'll know what you do, but making an impression and really showing people that you care, you can never, ever, ever go wrong with that. So that, and the business will come for sure. So I think that if you concentrate on all of these things and say, okay, and which one of these do I need, need to tweak and up my game a little bit more, and just keep trying to get better. If you concentrate on just all these things right here, this is the trust builder right here. There's really nothing else unless y'all can think of it. Let me know, because I'm going to add it to the list. But I think this covers a lot of cool, good things to work on. Okay, solutions to the current market. I'm just going to go through a few, we went through some scripts on, hey, I'm going to wait, and the rates and this and the market. Okay, here's some solutions to this current market. Assumable loans. You might not have ever thought about this. This just really occurred to me recently. I'm like, oh my gosh. We haven't really needed these when rates are 3%. Who cares if you assume a loan? You can go get your own 3% loan, right? But did you know that if the seller has an FHA or a VA loan, that those loans are assumable. They're the only type of loans that are assumable. And so when you're doing a listing, if you have a seller, find out what their interest rate is. That could help sell the house. And I don't know exactly where, but I know that there's a place in agent remarks to put the assumable. I don't know all that detail. That's a little granular for me, but y'all would know where to put it. To let the potential buyers know. And you could also search. I'm assuming that there's a way to search on the multiple listing service if the agents have tagged it the right way. Look for assumable loans out there. Now on the VA, the buyer, the new buyer, if they're assuming a VA loan, if the seller's VA and the buyer is not VA, that's okay on an assumable loan, but it could prevent that seller from going to get a new VA loan. So you have to be really careful because their entitlement is still jammed up in that house. So it's a little tricky. They are,
Jennifer,
yeah.
while you said that, I got on the MLS, did a search for 350 and less, and the only category I clicked under financing was assumable loan. There's 16 homes listed in the MLS right now under 350 that have assumable loans, and I assume they're FHA.
Yeah, I mean, that's cool. It's good. Hopefully it's in a place where your buyer wants to go, but that could be a solution. Thanks for doing that quick research. That could be a solution for a buyer that just cannot afford a house right now. And that's the only way they're getting it. And if they're willing to live in one of those 16 places, that could be amazing. So kudos to those realtors for already investigating that very important fact. That's awesome. Now the new buyer is subject to qualifications. You can't just assume the loan and that's it. The other thing is it depends what the sales price is, you know, with the large, I mean, here's the downside. Values have really increased. And so if what you're selling the home for, like, let's say your seller is selling the home for 400, or let's say 350, Mark's example. Selling for 350, but what if at the time that the seller did their loan, it was for 250? Well, someone's got to come up with that $100,000. So that's the downside, you know, to that whole equation, because they're assuming the same loan that's in existence. It's not creating a new loan at the same rate. It's the same loan, same note terms, like that's it. So it gets really tricky. So that could be a downside right there. Okay, adjustable rate mortgages. I'm not seeing a ton of these just because believe it or not, the adjustable rates right now are not that much different than the fixed. Sometimes the market gets inverted like that. It's just the most weird logic in the world, but there's a big demand. Just the 30-year fixed coupon is just popular and it's just the most demanded. So it's the most attractive. But if you do an adjustable, there are some banks out there. There are some that are they are offering some attractive. But what an ARM is it's usually fixed for 5, 7, or 10 years, and then after that fixed period, it'll become adjustable for either every 6 months, every year, or every 5 years. So it's when they advertise the ARM, they advertise that, you know, that change rate. But the most common is the 1 year. So like if you have a 7-year ARM, it'll adjust in year 8, 9, 10, you know. Now the adjustments are to an index plus a fixed margin. So the index right now, I just looked at this up this morning, the LIBOR index, which is some London, it's some index in London. I forget what LIBOR even stands for. But it's an index similar to the 1-year treasury, but over in London, okay? Today it's 4.13. So if I was adjusting today, my rate would be 4.13 plus a fixed margin of maybe 2.25. Most of the margins are 2.2, 2.5, right around there. Okay. What you have to worry about is what's the index going to be when I'm adjusting in 7 years. Not always lower. You never know. There's risk. Okay. That's why a lot of people don't like the ARMs. Generally, they do have lower interest rates. Like I said, most generally, sometimes not as much as you would think, not a big, huge spread. It's not like if the market is 7.5, you're going to get 3. Like it's not that big of a spread like that. And it is ideal maybe for people that know that they're only going to be in the house for 3 to 5 years. Because like I said, or they know and they feel comfortable with refinancing, because we've got a guy we're talking to right now. He's going to adjust in April, and he's at like 2.8, something crazy. And we're going to sit it out a little bit. I'm like, we don't need to refinance right away. I mean, you're okay at the 2.8. Worst case scenario, you're going to take an adjustment for maybe till the summer, like take one adjustment, and then we'll refinance you in the summer, third quarter or fourth quarter, when rates come down. So we'll see. But that's kind of the nuts and bolts of how the ARMs work. Okay, adjustable rates. Now, the one that I get really excited about are these buy downs. So there's different types of way to buy down the mortgage. There's a seller or buyer paid buy down, which are really actually kind of the same thing. And then there's something called a 2-1 buy down. So y'all are probably starting to hear about the 2-1 buy down in the marketplace. I've done this since 1995, and I think I've only before now done like 1 or 2 of these, because the rates have been so low figuratively for so long. Like most of my career, the rates have been, let's see, early 2000s. I would say the rates have been between 3 and 5% on average. When I first got in 95, they were like 7, 8, 9%. But then in early 2000, the whole 2000s have really been pretty reasonable. So it just hasn't really made that much sense. Okay. Now it makes a lot of sense. So I'm just going to explain to y'all kind of simply, and I'm going to give y'all these slides so you can, chop them up, put them somewhere, do whatever you want with them. So the seller buyer paid buy down, this is the first real buy down is a permanent buy down of the interest rate in what we call points. When you hear, hey, points, mortgage points, discount points, that's all the same thing. So I'm going to give you an example of a house listed for $398. And let's say the buyer says, oh, I'm going to offer $370. Okay. Everyone thinks now they're going to get something on a fire sale, but we're just going to go with this example. Okay. Let's just say that they offer $370. So I'm going to show you an example, $370 versus $398. Let's just say if they paid full price, the first line, and the rate's 7.5, it shows you what their payment is, $2,644. If the seller comes down, almost $30,000, their payment is $2,458. So that's about a $186 difference in payment. Okay, that the buyer is saving by having this lower price. Now, with the seller paid buy down, let's say that the seller buys down or pays closing costs so the buyer can buy the interest rate down. That 7.5 would go down to 6.75, let's say. And the cost was $7,500 that the seller would pay. Okay, so instead of, that's my example here. Hang on, I got y'all's pictures right here, so I can't see. Okay. So if they pay $398, so they pay full price, and the seller gives the $7,500 towards closing costs, the seller's going to net close to 390, right? The buyer's payment is 2452, which is 192 less. So the benefit of this is that the price stays higher, benefiting the market as a whole. I mean, we want to help out the community, right? We don't want our neighbor to hate us, like, you sold your house for 30,000 less. So it's good for the market. And the seller netted 20K more. The seller netted 390 versus 370, right? So like everybody wins, and the buyer has a payment of 192 less. You see how that kind of all works out? So it's super beneficial, win-win. Now there's the other type of buy down. Now that was a permanent buy down of the rate, and the benefit of this one is that the buyer gets to qualify at the 6.75 or the 6 or the 6.5 or whatever that lower rate is. And let's face it, some buyers need a helping hand, right? Some buyers definitely need the lower rate for the payment. They're just gasping for air on the payment on these houses, some people. So this could be a good, preferable buy down. The other type of buy down actually helps the buyer more in the short term. It costs the seller a little bit more, but it really helps the buyer. And this is the 2-1 buy down. And it has to be seller paid. The buyer cannot pay for this. Lenders are not allowing that. Similar concept as the permanent buy down, but it's only for 2 years. And that's why it's called a 2-1. The first year, your interest rate is 2% lower. And the second year, your interest rate is 1% lower. And you can only do it on a primary residence. Primary residence, the second line here says primary residence only, and all loan programs. You can do it on all conventional FHA, VA, all of it, but you cannot do it on jumbo, and you cannot do it on down payment assistance. Okay. Year 1, the rate's 2% lower. Year 2, the rate is 1% lower. So check this out in the example, the same 398 example, let's just say 7.5. And I think rates are a little lower than that right now, but this is just my example. Okay. So at the 7.5, the payment's 2644. Okay. Same example as the prior page. Now the seller paid closing costs is about 9,100 instead of 7,500. So it's about 1,600 more. But I mean, come on, y'all. The end of the day, what's $1,600, right? When you're trying to sell your house, possibly. So year 1 at 5.5%, their payment's $2,147. They save $497 a month. That is huge. Year 2 at 6.5, they save $254 a month. Like, this is real money, y'all. I would take this temporary buy down all day because they're going to be refinancing within 2 to 3 years anyway, honestly. And so this could really help some people off the ledge where they're like, we can, gosh, we really like the house for 398, but we can only afford a house of 320. Like, that's kind of what this is like. It's like a $60,000 to $80,000 spread in price. Seriously. So it could really help some borrowers out. And so this option costs the seller $1,600 more than the option on the other buy down that we showed you, but it saves the buyer hundreds. The house just has to appraise for this. Of course, we're back. Let's just talk about that. But, y'all know when something's going to appraise or not. So if there's any questions about this, let me know, because this is, it's a lot of granular detail on here. It's a lot. But that's pretty cool, right? Super cool. I love this idea. And then the last thing, I mean, it's obvious, but communication is critical. So make sure that you remain on top of your game in this. You know, the same data, same idea can be so twisted in a bunch of different ways, and just do what you can to control the message to your clients and really, you know, putting out information that's really valuable. Like now more than ever, y'all my advice is to double down on client, like putting information out to clients that's going to help them to just navigate, like real facts, no BS. Like, hey, I'm just here to give you this real information. Like, you know, if you're not doing a newsletter monthly to all your prospective clients in your pipeline, start one. I do that monthly to all of them. And then I actually just added, I'm doing I think y'all have all received a broadcast message from me, and it's not like I want to slide dial you, but guess what? I want to get you important information, and I cannot call 300 of you people. I cannot. So I broadcast you, and I do the same to clients. Like, I just want them to get the information. Okay. And so about once a month, it's called slide dial broadcast. It's not very expensive, but it lets you put out a mass message. And so imagine communicating to your pre-approved buyers the good news, like I did last week, of like, hey, there was a glimmer of hope. Like, rates came down a little bit. And by the way, we offer a refinance certificate. So if you're on the fence, text me back at this number and let's talk about it. Right? So like, control the information that they're getting, because you know that the news and online is not happening on there at all. Whatever's the most drama is winning the attention of all these buyers that are getting misleading information. Okay. If you're not, you're all on my interest rate update, but if anyone's later watching this, if you want to get on my weekly interest rate update, just scan the little guy to the right. I'm getting fancy in my later years. This is just the coolest thing ever. Figured out how to do this. I'm so proud of myself. So yeah, this will subscribe you to my weekly newsletter where I'll just kind of give you the rates, real facts, no BS, maybe a couple videos. And I love realtors, like 65% of my business. So super fun. This is all my contact info like I had before. Like, if you don't, just like Mark, I don't know if you have, you've had my info in your phone a long time, but this is all the new and improved info. So make sure you scan and save all my info. Okay. Well, I would love to hear y'all's questions. I'm going to stop. I'm going to stop recording.